Oh, guess let me take my food moment first.
We're starting. Hello, with a little off-air talk start. Welcome to episode 145 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill. We got lots to talk about today. Lots of controversy this week.
Yes.
Where would you like to start, Jay?
Well, I guess we should start with our Steeler minute or 5 minutes, whatever it's going to be. And the ugly end of a game in a while, for sure.
I have never seen anything like that. I mean, everybody said the same thing. Nobody's seen anything like that. That was way over the line.
Way over the line.
I think they're going to have a hard time finding everybody. Everybody's going to be appealing their fines because, you're justifying it in that you're going to the aid of your teammate. And I know that the NBA has the same rule and the NFL and everything else, but football just seems like it's so physical to begin with. This has to, you have to cut them a little bit of break here. And it was so egregious, I don't think anybody knew how to act. So when you start throwing all these fines around, I don't know. The suspensions I'm okay with. I don't think Pouncey should have got 3. I think I would have been okay with Pouncey getting 2 because he kicked him.
Yeah.
And the dude that pushed him from the back, I'm okay with him getting 1, I guess. I like to see him get more, but then I might be biased.
Well, in a non-way,
a lot of people
with Rudolph getting 1, if I'm being perfectly honest.
A lot of people said, go ahead.
I just feel like the way I saw the play is that Garrett took him down in almost a potential late hit. The ball was out. He took him to he drove him into the ground. And he drove him into the ground, which you're not supposed to do. And rolled on him. And I'm sure they were yelling at stuff back and forth. I don't think, obviously nothing has come out. So whatever it was just general football trash talk. But obviously Rudolph grabbed his helmet, got up and was yelling and screaming. So, I don't think he was completely innocent. But as lots of people have said, like whatever happened up till that point would have just been a normal football skirmish. You just let it go. But once you rip off the helmet, and it wasn't like, and people talked about the Richie Incognito play from a couple years ago, but that was like a bang, bang, helmet off, swing the helmet. This was, I took the helmet off, I have it, I've cocked it, and now I'm taking a shot at your head.
I'm reaching over David DeCastro to get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's people that pointed out, like, luckily he hit him with the part of the helmet goes on your head where you have the big hole and you have a lot of padding. Whereas if he had caught him square in the head with the crown of the helmet, we could be having an entirely different conversation at this point.
And that's why a lot of people were advocating that he file criminal charges.
Which he was not doing, for the record.
Which he's not doing.
He said he's
I don't know how I felt about that.
I would say, obviously not being an NFL football player or having really any NFL connection to any, but I would think there's some sort of, I don't think he wants to be the guy that does that. As a young football player in the NFL, I don't think he wants to be the guy that goes down that road, is what I would say.
I agree. I think you're accurate on that. I don't think he wants to be that guy either.
Now, I think he'd be in his rights to do it, obviously, from a legal standpoint. I just don't think he wants to be the guy that, files criminal. Because, there's a little bit of the machismo thing and the brotherhood thing and, all sorts of.
But you're always going to be that guy.
Yeah.
And again, like Garrett's always going to be that now, too.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were talking about today. Like, he's obviously an outstanding football player. And from this point on, no matter what he does for the rest of his career, this is going to be in the first couple sentences of what he's done. That's always going to be there, which is, I assume we can assume he deserves it at this point, but that's just, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I did see a few random people trying to come up with a reason to defend Myles Garrett, which I thought was a little odd. Because even his teammates and he himself have basically not given himself a defense. But I think it says a lot about take culture. It's like, there was obviously people bringing up, race, when I don't think this was a race issue. I know it's easy as the way to say it, but I don't think that had anything to do with race.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a clear, you blow your cool and You have a weapon in your hands and you used it, as opposed to all the other times you had a weapon in your hand and you didn't use it.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to do with race. I mean, that's flat out silly.
Yeah, and it sucks that people are even trying to bring that into the conversation. Well, they're trying to like, well, someone must have said something. And as he pointed out, he's like, I had a really bad moment. Things got out of hand, and I behaved in a way that was just abhorrent,
Unacceptable.
Yeah. And for his part, I don't think Garrett has said anything other than, somewhat. I mean, it sounds weird to say he said nothing but the right thing, but I think since it's happened, I think he said nothing but the right thing, if that makes any sense. Like
and I'm hoping he's had a bunch of incidents this year.
Yeah.
And maybe this thing straightens him out. So maybe there's a silver lining to this cloud.
Yeah, and obviously on a nationally televised game that I watched on Amazon, and I know was also on, where else is Thursday besides Amazon?
Fox and NFL Network.
Fox and NFL Network. I mean, it's a Steeler game. I mean, the NFL from an optic standpoint, you can't have that whole thing. It's just, really, really ugly, really unattractive for them as a unit. So,
no question. No question.
And this is also a game where we saw Smith leave with a concussion and Deontay Johnson bleeding out of his ear and leaving from a concussion. So it was just.
That was a violent hit. That was 2 helmet hits on one guy.
Yeah.
On one play. Yeah, I was upset about that one. I thought if you're going to eject anybody, that should have been the one.
Agreed. But somehow they didn't.
Or is that where they did eject? Is that where they did eject them?
I don't think they did. I think they just eject people in the last play, if I remember correctly.
No. There was an ejection earlier on a hit.
Yeah, I think it was on that play.
Yeah, I don't think it was on the Juju play. I think it was on that play.
Yeah.
That was scary. When you see somebody come with blood coming out of their ear, you're worried about that one.
Very much so. To the point where our Steelers.
Well, let's switch. Well, I don't think we even need to talk about our Steelers right now.
No, I suppose not.
I don't think there's a lot to say. But let's talk about Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how all this came together. Because he settled the lawsuit, he got his check, right?
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, the NFL is the one that initiates it and says, we're going to have this tryout for you. That sounds pretty fishy to me.
It does. Now,
I mean, it's like we're going to bring in 20 guys. We're going to bring in 20 guys here that say you can't play, and then that's going to be the end of it.
Right. And, so, Jay-Z has come out and said that he and Roger Goodell were meeting, and because Jay-Z went to bat for him over the Super Bowl halftime show, that he was initiating the Kaepernick thing. I don't know how much credibility there is to that or not. I sort of felt that it had kind of died. I mean, with all the backup quarterbacks we have in there now, I still thought it had kind of been put to rest in a weird way, where it had been so long that people were just like, yeah, whatever. Still angry about it, clearly, but, And as I told you off air, so obviously for people that don't know, the NFL set it up to be at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility on Saturday, which people have pointed out is an odd day because most scouts and coaches are preparing for the next day or they're out scouting college football. And then it was going to be run by Hugh Jackson and another guy whose name I can't remember right now. So it was very much all on, and it's odd that you would do it week 11 of the NFL season. But it was set up nonetheless. Supposedly 20-something players were, teams were going to be there. But then Kaepernick pulled it away and wanted to do it at high school and have it live on YouTube or some kind of social media content. And then now it's turning into awards between Stephen A. Smith and Eric Reed. Because Stephen A. Smith came out and basically said that if Colin Kaepernick wanted his chance, this was his chance. That he didn't really want to play football. He just wanted the attention and wanted to be a martyr, which has caused a lot of backlash from a number of people at Stephen A.
But it's what Stephen A. does. He's a lightning rod. And so people be calling in his show. People be listening to his show now. I mean, it's a ratings thing. Just like, what's the other guy? Max Kellerman?
Yeah.
he was the first one to say Rudolph should be suspended. And I called him out on Twitter. I said, I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to blow up your ratings. I said, there's no way if you get hit in the head, there's no way you should get suspended. And I don't care what happened before that. And that's the way the shows work, which is why you and I are on the show.
Yeah,
because we said we're going to have no screaming and no BS like that, and it's still rampant on all those shows.
It is. I mean, Stephen A. is already about to be the highest paid whatever talking head in the world. So I don't even know if he even needed to have this. I can't tell if this is something he really believes, because I'm sure a certain percentage is something he feels strongly about. But obviously, ESPN's relationship with the NFL, ESPN being his boss, the NFL's relationship with, obviously with Colin Kaepernick, like, it doesn't smell right coming from Stephen A., of all people.
It's just an odd thing. You would think they would give a Kaepernick 30 days to get ready or something. You would have thought, they would have had it in a different setting. Kaepernick wanted it on a public forum so he could, argue. He was arguing for transparency because he didn't think it was going to be transparent if he did it to Falcons. There's just so much bad blood between the two sides.
There really is.
I just think we should move on. And remember what I told you. I saw a game where he and RG3 were quarterbacking about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, the year before he got suspended. And I'm telling you, I didn't think he was that good.
See,
he was good because he surprised people, and they didn't realize he was such a run-pass option threat, which is now the flavor of the day.
It's true.
But he was not a great passer.
No. And I think analytics do not help, because that last season that he played, he was like 15 or 20 pounds less than he had been the year before, where he used to just be an absolute stud, which it looks like he is again now. But that last season, he was down like 15, 20 pounds. And his stats look really, like, if you look just at the stats, they seem good. Because he had a high touchdown to interception ratio and a high completion percentage. But just like stats, they don't always tell the whole story. But what do you think? Why are they doing it now, do you think?
I can't figure it out. Unless this is I just don't understand why now. I could have understood it more at the beginning of the year. I'm sure they'd be getting a lot of pressure because all the quarterbacks have gone down, all these other people are in the league, and he's not in the league. It's complicated. There's a lot of things going on. I don't really understand it. And I really, nobody wins in this.
No. Because I would think when you look around the league, like this time of the season, who is he going to help? Like, unless you're a fringe playoff team and you really think he can come in, and be something, like, but by the time he, assimilates to your team and your offense, like, it's probably too late. And if you're a good team, you don't need him on your team. So
it was pointed out the Steelers, who have some quarterback issues, did not go in it. We're not planning to attend.
And they were a team that, like, of all the teams that I thought he could help, because at least if he was your running threat and he was actually good, like, I thought he could have helped them technically.
Yeah, you could argue it.
Yeah, the guy hasn't played football in over 2 years, over almost 3 seasons now. And we've seen what happens with that. Like,
yeah. Like I said, I just don't see any good coming from this.
No, and again,
I can no good.
It just don't understand it. It just makes no sense. Like, why now? It's just the weirdest part. I don't think it's just Jay-Z talking. I
agree.
No, but who knows?
It doesn't make, unless Nike was pushing it. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know enough to say why. We just both see it smells.
Very much so.
And it smells. So speaking about things that smell, we'll talk about Nick Saban's decision to leave Tua in a game when it's 35-0, and they're going to win that game anyhow. And Tua limped off the field in the prior game against LSU. You could tell he wasn't 100%. Why are you leaving him in there with 35-0? And Saban says it's because Tua needed to practice a 2-minute drill. And I say it's because Paul Feinstein said on TV that morning that if Alabama is going to make the 14 playoff, they're going to need some help and a bunch of style points. So I think Saban was hoping they were going to get 60 points on that game and obliterate them. And would they get 3 more points after Tua got hurt?
Yeah.
So I just think it was a bad decision, and I don't like the way he tried to justify it. And I feel really bad for Tua because it's a hip injury. I mean, that's a big-time injury for a young man. And this could have ruined his entire pro future. I mean, who knows? Who knows if anybody's going to draft him now next year? Maybe he needs to go back to Alabama and play another year and risk it all again.
We talked about that off air. Like right now, like the whole tank for Tua thing at the beginning of the year, he's coming off back-to-back years of ankle surgeries and now a hip surgery. So how likely are you to take him, with your high overall pick?
You're not. Now you draft Joe Burrows.
Yeah. Or you take a chance on the Oregon kid or somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel bad for Tua. And I just think it was, I don't know. It's, again, we're never going to understand why, but it happened and I don't like it. Speaking about things I didn't like, how about Oklahoma coming back on Baylor?
Yeah.
But, I talk about it all the time, having been a follower of the Big 8 and Big 12 for most of my adult life. A lot of teams think they can beat Oklahoma. Very few teams believe they can beat Oklahoma. And you saw a great example of it last night. It's a great example of it because they're up 28, they're up 31-3, I think it was at one time, 31-10. And they don't score again. They only run 16 plays in the second half. They get absolutely smoked. And they look like a JV high school team in the second half. And Oklahoma just came out and did whatever they wanted. So, I mean, I can see Oklahoma's going to, if they play again in a couple of weeks, I don't see anything that Baylor showed me that tells me it won't be an ass kicking this time. Because they're not going to get off to a 30-point start again. It's going to be like it was in the second half.
Much closer to, for certain. Yes.
Yeah. So now, Georgia and LSU are going to play. If LSU beats Georgia, that's 2 losses for Georgia. I don't think Georgia can get in the playoff with 2 losses.
No, definitely not.
So you might actually have a Pac-12 team get in. I mean, Utah and Oregon are spoiling to play the playoff game. They each have 1 loss going into it. If they keep on their current record,
right?
And I could see one of them getting in as a 1-loss team. So I could see Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and LSU, and either Utah or Oregon.
Yeah.
Unless Penn State manages to beat Ohio State, which would really mess things up. Or Michigan beats Ohio State, which to me would knock them out.
Yeah.
But Ohio State's got Penn State and Michigan left. Those are 2 tough games.
Those are 2 very tough games. Because the Michigan
be good games.
Throw out the records games because it's, what, a 100-year rivalry, give or take.
Yeah, and Michigan in the last 5 weeks has been a totally different team.
They really have been. They've kind of picked it up.
So Minnesota's pumpkin. The clock struck 12 for Minnesota, and they turned into a pumpkin. Baylor turned into a pumpkin, so the critics were right where they had them ranked.
Unfortunately, yeah. Especially Minnesota, as we have some Minnesota connection. Would like to see them do well.
And everybody had, the funny thing is, they had Iowa installed as the favorite for that game, and Iowa was the favorite, and Iowa won. Even undefeated, Minnesota was the favorite to win that game.
No. It's pretty crazy. I mean, Vegas knows their stuff. Obviously, but I mean...
They know their stuff. I don't want to assume why they know their stuff.
No, but they just... It's amazing because you'll have, everybody's like, well, they're undefeated, this, and this. And you look at the Vegas line and, I mean, obviously, as people tell you, Vegas would have been out of business if people won money off Vegas. Vegas knows what they're doing. So,
yeah,
they just have the smartest people and there's nothing else, obviously.
Not at all. Let's see what else going on. Mike Trout won the MVP and won his third MVP award, which is pretty incredible considering his teams have not done well as teams.
Well, I think he can
But
thank
he's
all
still
the
that.
analytics for that.
Well, I'm just hoping against hope now that they get Garrett Cole and a couple other players, and Mike Trout gets to play in the World Series next year.
At least in the playoffs.
Something. Let people see him.
Yeah, because I think at least in the NBA, like you can get one MVP award, but after that, you got to win something before you're going to get your second. And Major League Baseball, it's too much just numbers, and it's like they just, wins above replacement, all that sort of stuff. But wins overall just have to matter.
I agree.
But he is the
Let's see
best
what else.
player in the world, so good for him and all that good stuff. So,
And we have Carmelo Anthony back in the NBA
on a non-guaranteed contract, playing for a Portland team that's kind of a mess. I mean, I was a big Pneumonia coming out when the Magic drafted him. I thought they had gotten the next European awesome star, and he's clearly not. But he plays crunch time minutes for them. So, I mean,
Yeah. The NBA is interesting this year. I went and saw Oklahoma City and Philadelphia on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I thought Oklahoma City would win that game. And Oklahoma City is actually a decent team.
They really are.
They're really a team. There's nobody going to dominate, the ball on that team.
No, and
somebody gets hot in that.
Well, and in the trade, I mean, they ended up with Gallo, Chris Paul, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a really good player, and you still had some of those other guys, developing guys. I mean, they've got a decent squad.
And Gallinari's been on a lot of different teams.
Yeah,
but he can score.
He just can't.
He can shoot. Yeah. And I mean, they had no physical match for Joel Embiid.
No, but Philly's still a mess of a team,
Yeah. You know what I noticed about Philly? Last year when they had TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
When they would put him in there, he would be a real disruptor, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they even took a bigger lead with him in there. And now he's not there anymore. I don't even know where he is. But somebody else is there now, and it's not the same.
No, and I still think...
And so when they make this now, they don't play well.
No, and we saw Ben Simmons shooting threes in the gym this summer, and everybody got all hyped about it, but his game hasn't changed.
No.
And he and Embiid just are not a great fit together. They're just not,
They miss TJ and they miss Redick.
Yeah, and I think you'd want either one of those guys on your team, but I just don't think that Simmons and Embiid make a lot of sense as teammates.
No.
I don't think Embiid looks like he's in that much better shape than he was last year, despite all his social media stuff this summer.
His ego's in good shape.
Yeah, there's no question about that. His social media game and his ego on point. He's got that down, but, that's not all you need.
So I want to start a new segment this week.
Okay.
You know how ESPN has one thing I saw?
Yes.
I'm going to do my one thing I saw.
Okay.
My one thing I saw is, and I really liked it, but I can't see a lot of other people doing it, is in the OSU game in the beginning of the third quarter, they honored a bunch of veterans and Air Force pilots.
Okay.
And Gundy left the team and went over and shook hands with each of those guys, which I really was blown away by. I mean, you could see it pregame, but not in not the beginning of the third quarter. I mean, they were dominating the game, but he still would have done it regardless of the score. I was very impressed that he took time to do that.
It's very nice.
Yeah, and he had a really nice celebration. I loved their special uniforms and their folds of honor tie-in. It was really a good day.
Nice. Well, of things I saw,
I've got a real interesting.
Yeah,
I've got a real interesting food moment.
Well, I'll do my one thing that I saw today that because we'd already talked about everything else, but
yeah,
the Ravens are really, really good.
Yes, they are.
I thought they were a down week this week after everything else, but they dominated the Texans, and Lamar Jackson continues to look like a video game character. He putting up another 4 touchdowns today. Ran for 80 yards, threw for 3 touchdowns. Just their defense looks like it's getting better. Yeah, I don't know, but I saw that.
Do you think they'll make the Super Bowl?
I think just due to the fact that I've seen it happen for what feels like my entire life now, I can't go against the Patriots, who once again won today despite looking kind of shaky. Like,
that's a good point.
In the playoffs, no matter how good Lamar Jackson is, like, and you saw the other thing I saw is Rob Gronkowski has a big announcement he's going to make, and I don't know what that would be other than I'm coming back to play football.
Well, you said it would happen.
He has until November 30th to declare, and I think he said on Tuesday, look out because Gronkowski's got a big announcement to make. So unless he's joining the WWE, I don't really know what else his announcement would be other than he's going to play football.
Well, I hope it's joining the WWE.
I think he'd be an excellent professional wrestler, so I'm very excited to see it.
I think he'd be a great one. I'd like to see him there. All right, so let me give you my food moment.
Please.
Not in a restaurant.
Okay.
After the OSU game, Dr. Rooney, my old advisor from college, invited Sharon and I to drop by the OSU golf tailgate.
Okay.
And a Oklahoma State Hall of Famer was cooking by the name of Robin Ventura. And I got to tell you, he
by Nolan Ryan, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was cooking tri-tip, and it was tremendous. Tremendous. Best thing I ate all week. And I was at Eskimo Joe's. I was at the Hideaway, and I was at Granny's. And this was the best thing I ate.
Wow.
Yeah. Just, Robin Ventura, the baseball player, the ex-baseball player.
The man knows what he's doing, I guess.
Last collegiate player, I think, hit 400.
Well, looks like we're about to wrap up.
It was delicious.
I guess if I have anything to add today, would be the,
I also want to shout out to Paul
I got
and
Disney
Mike
Plus
Murphy for becoming Patreon supporters for us.
And
I'm glad they're enjoying the show.
Overall, pretty good service. Hello. Hi, Mom. You're on the podcast.
Hi.
Hi. I just forgot to throw you on at the end.
Phone up?
Yeah, we'll pick up the phone. It's fine.
Okay.
We lost Dad. We're at the 28-minute mark, and Dad was just talking about his delicious food moment. So I figured I would just, the Robin Ventura tri-tip.
Yeah. That was unbelievable. The guy was right there, huh? And who knew he was such a good cook?
Who knew?
And they were making crab legs.
Wow.
I don't know. Are we finishing the show?
We're finishing the show right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said Dad's off. Here you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to finish on the phone?
Yeah, I figured we'll finish on the phone. So we wanted to give a shout out to a couple of our listeners. And then
Paul and Mike Murphy, who have really enjoyed the podcast and are becoming Patreon supporters. So thanks for their support. I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
And a few months ago, I bought into Disney Plus. I bought into the hype, and I bought 3 years for $120, which is $40 a year. It seemed like a really good deal. And I have to say, I really like The Mandalorian, the new Star Wars show from Jon Favreau.
Oh, yeah. I saw the previews of that.
Yeah. It's, I think some of the people that don't like it, and I think I fell into this category for a little while, I think they forgot what Star Wars was. Like, Star Wars, for all the fun, exciting, cool creatures and different people, it's also a little bit, it's made for kids, it's a little bit corny. So I think you have to have that, even in something that's got some clearly Sergio Leone Western sort of vibes to it, even in the music and the credits, which is really cool. It's still a show that, it's meant that, you can watch it as a family. But other than that, like, it's really well done. The one unique thing I've seen is that the main character is the Mandalorian. He's like a Boba Fett for the people that don't know Boba Fett.
Okay.
He doesn't take his helmet off, and he talks about it. So you have a main character that has the Boba Fett mask on all the time. So you never get to see his eyes or his face or anything else. And I think the plan is that you don't get to see it because he's a Mandalorian. I mean, there may be at some point, when he's beaten down, but it's sort of an odd show where your main character just is a mask. But overall, really entertaining. Pretty fun.
Okay. I watched the first episode of Double Numbers last week and really thought that was great. And that's on Stars, and I'm sure it's available other places too.
Oh, nice.
But I really enjoyed that. When I go to California next week, we'll be doing a show from Newport Beach next Sunday night. But when I'm in California next week, I'm going to see Dr. Sleep. I'm going to see Good Liars. And I'm going to see Mr. Rogers movie.
Okay. I also, as we're at our bonus time of the show and people are getting to turn off or not, I think Knives Out looks really good.
Yeah, that's on our list too.
It looks like an Agatha Christie dark comedy, Daniel Craig murder mystery. I don't know. It looks. I'm into it though.
And that's how it's been described as an Agatha Christie deal, which are always fun.
They are. And I think that's about it for this week.
Lots of controversy. As much off the field as on the field this week.
And hopefully next week we'll have a little more info on the Colin Kaepernick thing, and maybe we'll know, where it came from or why it came. Was it just Jay-Z having a conversation with Goodell or whatever it was? But something along those lines. But again, thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Yeah. Because we need it. We appreciate it. And, tell your friends to rate us on iTunes because that really helps. We need the analytics of the ratings to help us become MVPs like Mike Trout.
There you go.
All right. So until next week.